Let me welcome you to the next session at DynamicsCon by Resco.net. My name is Matej Vanik and I am an IT Support Specialist here at Resco. Today's session is called Resco and the PowerApps, an expert comparison. Let's get started. In today's session, I'm going to talk about mobile applications from Resco and from Microsoft PowerApps and how do they compare in terms of configuration options, performance, and management tools. Then in the second part, I'm going to present you the results from a real data performance test, which was done on both applications. And finally, I'm going to conclude our findings and share my thoughts on what you should consider when choosing the best solutions for you. Let's start off with this question. What is offline in terms of field service? Let me answer this with an example. Imagine that you are a technician who works out of the office most of the day. You can imagine that you are, for example, outside of the town or in a garage. What you need is the access to the data that you depend on for your work. This could be the information about the work orders, the appointments which you have scheduled for today, or about the accounts that you have to visit, or the products that your company offers. All of this data is stored somewhere at the cloud on a Microsoft Dynamics 365 server. However, even if you have no internet connection, you need to access and edit this data. So that's why offline. Offline is basically a projection of the server data, which is stored locally in a local database at your disposal at any time. Because the data is directly on your mobile device, you have to take into the account the limited resources of this device. Because you can imagine that the processing power, the memory, and also the storage is nowhere near of the what server offers. The projection consists of the entities, of the fields, and of the records, which are created as a mirror, let's say, in the local database. On the other hand, we have the standard online model, which basically depends on live connection with the server. Whatever action you do in the mobile application, whether that is search, whether that is updating a record, creating a record, or deleting a record, everything needs to be sent to the server in real time to be processed, and then the application will wait for the response. This can obviously take some time, so sometimes working with an online application can be really just waiting for the server to deliver. And this is another big advantage of the offline model, because when you have the data directly on your device, you do not have to wait for anything. However, the offline also comes with some challenges. The first one is the one that I already mentioned, and it's the limited resources of the device that you have to respect. Then it's the performance and the synchronization of the data. And also you have to think about the security and the consistency of the whole database as it is stored in offline. Okay, now let's have a quick look over what Resco and Microsoft PowerApps looks like. First, Resco. So At Resco, we have been developing a mobile offline solution for more than 10 years now. Our goal is to create a powerful but also easy to configure a solution which can be used out of the box. But we also provide a lot of customization and configuration options. Resco mobile application can work seamlessly as an offline or as an online application, and the technicians are able to switch between these two modes. The data synchronization can be triggered manually or can be also set as automatic. For example, can be triggered by update of a specific work order or something similar. Resco offers also a wide range of business logic options that you can implement within the mobile application. This includes no-code business rules, but also JavaScript options, and both are fully supported in offline. These are a few screenshots from Resco mobile application. You can see that this is really application meant to be used on a mobile device with all these big icons and clickable spaces. This is one of the default projects that you can see, but the admin has a lot of options regarding the themes and customization of the UI as well. Resco also provides great possibilities for integration with third-party systems. For example, Exchange and SharePoint. So you can basically use your Exchange contacts and calendars and emails directly in your application. And the application also provides possibilities for using the device's GPS module and calendar and all these similar things. Microsoft PowerApps shares most of the functionality and the UI with the online browser-based application. You can tell that this application is really coming from this browser-based app, which was initially developed as a fully online application, and the offline capabilities were implemented in addition after that. Offline can be enabled for the PowerApps in the designer, and as soon as you enable this offline, then the data will be automatically synced on the device. So there's basically no user action needed. The PowerApps uses the unified interface, which is a great advantage because it's basically the same thing that the technicians are used to from the Dynamics 365 browser-based app. This is how the app designer looks like for the PowerApps. This is a screenshot that I took while I was doing the tests. So you can see that on the right, I was actually using the Field Service Mobile default project, as well as the Field Service Mobile offline profile, which I'm going to talk a bit later. And this is how the PowerApps looks like on an iPad screen. You can see that it's basically the same thing that you are used to from Dynamics 365 web browser interface. Let's move on to the next section. I'm going to talk a bit about the synchronization and offline data setup for both applications. First, Resco. So the synchronization is actually the core process of the whole Resco offline functionality. Our main focus is the performance, but also the tools for analysis and the problems of the performance, because from our experience, we know that regarding the various types of organizations and data structure, there will always be some problems, either errors or problems with performance. And we want to provide as much information about these so the administrator is able to tackle these problems effectively. This is how the configuration of the project looks like for Resco. There is a dedicated tool for customization and configuration. It's called Woodford. And here the admin is able to select which entities will be downloaded to the offline mode, but also for each entity, you can select specifically which field will be downloaded to the local database on the device. This is great because you can save a lot of space by disabling the fields that the technician doesn't actually need in offline mode. Resco also provides a lot of highly specific settings and options for both offline data and the synchronization, and these come from the years of our work with real customer problems and scenarios that we have encountered. And this is how the offline configuration looks for PowerApps. It's really nice from the UI point of view. You can see that there are some predefined filters which can be very useful. So, for example, only sync the related rows, and also the admin is able to create more complex filters if needed. Each entity then also offers a possibility to set the sync interval. So this is basically a time like every 5 minutes, and it defines how often the specific entity will be synchronized with the server. Moving on to the sync issues and monitoring. As I've briefly mentioned, there is a lot of things that can happen during the synchronization. These can be conflicts, upload errors, and authentication errors, but also many other things. And the admin and the user need to be aware about these and need to have some information about what was the cause to prevent similar situations and problems in the future. For this, Resco provides a wide range of tools which can be used both by the admin in the backend and by the user directly in the mobile application. First, there is the sync dashboard, which provides a complex view over all synchronizations that happened on the specific organization. You can see that this shows information about how long the synchronization took, what was the type of the synchronization, then some statistical data, but also errors. So when there is an error, the admin is able to see directly on what device, at what time, and to what user this error occurs, and he is able to directly contact this user, or even when there is some conflict on the synchronization, the admin is able to resolve this conflict directly from the sync dashboard. So there is no user action needed in this case. Next, there's the Resco device control. In the device control, the admin and the backend is able to see exactly what devices are currently synced with this organization. You can see what's the current sync status of the device, when it was last synchronized, but also the application version, which is the device currently using. So this is also a great tool for monitoring. In addition, Resco also offers a possibility to use mobile auditing in offline. So you can set up the audit options for a specific entity, and you are able to track when, by whom, and possibly also where was a specific record updated. Directly in the application, the user is able to see the application log and also the storage analyzer. Both can be very easily be sent to the admin, and both provide a lot of information about the performance, but also the errors. Now let's move on to the PowerApps. So in PowerApps, you can see in the application, in the offline status bar, how many records there are currently downloaded. When there is an ongoing sync, you can see how many records are being actually now added into the offline database. But apart from that, there's not really much information. So there is no information about the performance or about the errors. So whatever happens, the synchronization is just a black box for both the administrator and for the technician. In our opinion, this is very limiting because if you are an admin, you have no possibility to track what users are synchronized, and if they are not, you just don't know. If there is some error, again, you just don't know, and you are left with the only option to write them an email and ask them. And still, they are not able to provide any details to you. And if the performance is bad, again, you have no information on what is the cause or how can you improve it. Okay, and now let's continue with the last part. I imagine many of you are looking forward to this, and this is the comparison testing that was done by Resco. So basically, as soon as we found out that Microsoft is releasing an application to work as an offline application, we were very curious about how will this application perform, because we are aware of all of the offline challenges that we have to face in our solution. So just to have some hard evidence, let's say, we decided to put the new application under pressure with real data, and we prepared some testing environment with a lot of records, and we then just measured how would this Microsoft PowerApps based solution behave under these circumstances. And this is what we found out. So basically, the synchronization time was roughly 4 times as big. So the same set of records was downloaded with both applications, and this is how the PowerApps behaved. Also, the storage taken by the PowerApps was almost 2 times as big, which is very weird to us, but there's like no information on what might be the cause. Regarding the iPad, we were not even able to synchronize because there were constant crashing after some number of records in the offline database was reached. So we just concluded it there. Basically, you can say that the PowerApps lacks significantly in overall performance, especially with large sets of data. The download is much slower, and the application fails to work where there's a lot of records in the offline database. This results in unresponsiveness and a regular app crashing. the total storage is that is occupied by the application is much bigger, and also there is ineffective memory management. But what maybe hurts the most is the lack of information about the problems and the performance, and the lack of tools to do any improvements in the situation. It could happen that you will find yourself in a situation with unhappy technicians, with an application that is not working as expected, and with no information what's the problem or how to improve it. What I would like you to take from this presentation is basically just think in advance. Before you choose what solution to use, think about how much data will your technicians need, and will they depend on the offline? How many technicians will be in the system, because this will affect the growth of data and the overall circulation of data. Then will the mobile device be the primary tool for the technicians, and what kind of tool do you want to give them? Also keep in mind that the application must be tested with the expected volume of data. I would like to encourage you to choose Resco if you know that you will need the work in offline, if you have an organizations with many users, or if you need additional custom business logic. Thank you very much, and this is all from me for today, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.